Regular board meeting of October 18th will come to order. We'll take a roll call. Ms. Cotter.
Thank you. Ms. Cotter is here. Mr. Long.
Here.
Mr. Wiseman.
Here.
Mrs. Forrest.
Here.
Mrs. Dodd.
Here.
Mrs. Pastana.
Here.
Mr. Carlson.
Here.
We're all here. Thank you.
We have a quorum. Please rise if you can for the Pledge of Allegiance. Outside, the flagpole out here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll look for approval of the agenda, but before I do that, I'd like to make a few adjustments in the agenda. I'd like to move section 2B, board president's comments, to after section 2C, recognitions. I'd also like to move item A in the consent agenda, approval of the minutes, to section 10, unfinished business. I'd also like to take item G from the consent agenda and move that to new business. Can I get support for that?
I support.
Mr. Wiseman supports it. Is there a second?
Yes, support.
Mr. Long seconds the motion. Ms. Cotter, please take a roll call vote.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter is a yes. Mrs. Dodd.
Yes.
Mrs. Pastana.
Yes.
Mrs. Forrest.
Yes.
And Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes 7-0. We will now move to recognitions. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Salah. We'll do Huron Valley Heroes first.
Thank you, President Carlson, and good evening to all who are in the audience today and those who are tuned in via live stream. I'd like to start off with new teacher recognition, and for that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tavernier.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Salah. We're so excited this evening to have our new teachers with us to be recognized. Huron Valley is a fantastic community, fantastic school district, and we are so excited to have our new teachers join the Huron Valley family. So I'd like to turn it over to our Director of Curriculum, Mr. Martin Lindberg, Director of State and Federal Programs, Mrs. Jennifer Bjorkman, and our Director of Data Analysis and Assessment, Ms. Lana Nemeth. They're going to take it from here and introduce our new teachers to our community.
Good evening, members of the board and Huron Valley community. We're very excited tonight to introduce to you our newest members of the Huron Valley education team. For those of you who don't know, last year we were unable to recognize and welcome our new teachers. So we have teachers here and their teachers and educators in their first and second year in the Huron Valley and also third year. So we're very excited to have them join us. Our new educator team includes staff with a variety of experiences and a wealth of knowledge, and we're happy to have them here with us. Our new educator program is led this year by Jennifer Hollander, our teacher leader and president of the Huron Valley Education Association. Also led by Jennifer Hiddle, Milford High School science teacher. And also Miss Nikki Commissars, who is a literacy coach at Oxbow Elementary. So just to give you a little bit of background on our new teacher and our new educator program, it starts right before school starts. When we have our teachers begin school, our new teachers begin 2 days before. So we have a day before our Huron Valley training and a day after. So they have a really busy week, that first full week of training. We also have mentor and mentee meetings. Each new teacher has a mentor who will be with them for 3 years if they're brand new to teaching or 1 year if they're new to Huron Valley. And then throughout the year, we have mentor-mentee meetings and new teacher, new educator meetings about every quarter. So we work hard in Huron Valley to support our new teachers. Jennifer, and Nikki are available at all times, providing additional support. They do an amazing job reaching out and helping support our new teachers with what they need. So at this time, we'd like to introduce our new teachers and new educators to the Huron Valley family. So we have Julia Wozni at Heritage Elementary. She is teaching art, and this is her first year. And just for purposes of time, if you can hold your applause till the end. I know we want to recognize everyone, but we'll go through everyone first. So Erica Robinson, she just started at Spring Mills in her first year teaching art. Amber Dart. Amber is at Spring Mills Elementary teaching 3rd grade, and this is her first year in Huron Valley. Melissa Ballou, she is at Lakewood Elementary teaching 4th grade, and she is also a first-year teacher. Jessica Parmerly, she is in her 10th year teaching and her first year at Lakewood Elementary in 2nd grade. Krista Dilkowski, she's in her 8th year of teaching, and some of you might recognize her from Apollo. She did several years of preschool there, and she is at her first year at Lakewood teaching kindergarten. Gloria Yeager is at Lakeland High School. Gloria is teaching 9th through 12th grade Spanish this year. She has worked for many years in Huron Valley in our ESL program in the district. Molly Ailes, she is at Lakeland High School, 9th and 11th grade ELA, and this is her first year. Holly Chamberlain. Holly is joining us this year as a first-year teacher in the Huron Valley Virtual Academy, teaching kindergarten. Emily Hinchman is at White Lake Middle School, teaching special education, and it is her first year at Huron Valley. Brittany Milford. Brittany is at Milford High School in her first year as a vocal music teacher. Emily Menwick is at Milford High School teaching creative writing and ELA 10, and this is her 3rd year in Huron Valley. Megan Turbin is a resource room teacher at Milford High School, and this is her 2nd year in Huron Valley. Morgan Selke teaches 9th and 10th grade ELA at Milford High School, and this is her first year at Huron Valley. We have Megan Rosa, her first year at Huron Valley, teaching categorical self-contained at Muir Middle School.
This is Mandy Hess, teaching Spanish at Muir and White Lake Middle School. This is her first year. Susan Osterhart, Highland Elementary Kindergarten, 2nd year in Huron Valley. We have Jen Kim, music at Oxbow, first year teacher at Huron Valley. Caitlin Shanks, Highland Elementary music, first year, 3rd year overall. Carrie Sanderson, Highland Elementary and Apollo PE and technology teacher, 3rd year. This is Adam Krupkin, teaching JK at Highland, 3rd year in Huron Valley. Rayanne Marsh, teaching at 1st grade at Kurtz Elementary, 1st year here. Thomas Kasperzak, Lakeland High School counselor, 1st year. Eric DeBono, Lakeland and White Lake Social Studies, 1st year. Christina Hammond, Country Oaks, 1st grade teacher, 1st year in Huron Valley. Krista Peterson, Country Oaks, 4th grade, 2nd year in HVS. Lauren Wassiloff, Country Oaks, 2nd grade, 1st year teacher in Huron Valley. And last but not least, Carrie Heath, kindergarten, Country Oaks Elementary, first-year teacher in Huron Valley. Welcome to all our new teachers.
We'd also just like to take a second to recognize all of our administrators who are here to support our new teachers and can help us welcome them into Huron Valley and celebrate the great things they're going to bring. So if you, our administrators, if you want to just give a wave. Yeah. And if we could get all the administrators to come on up, we just want to take a picture of the group together. So welcome everyone and thank you so much for joining our family.
So again, I want to just congratulate our new teachers. You've picked a great profession. You've picked a wonderful school district. Truly, I heard Martin and Jennifer and Lena refer to Huron Valley being a family. It really is a family. You picked a great place to work, and I think evidence of that is the number of administrators that are here. Every one of them is supportive of you. They have your backs. They want you to be successful. And just incredibly proud of each and every one of you for completing your programs. And if you've been in the profession for a long time, welcome to Huron Valley. You made a great choice. So next, I would like to invite Mrs. Durso to the microphone. She is serving as the advocate for our Huron Valley heroes, and she will be recognizing two staff members from Oak Valley. I think you have to turn that mic on there, Sean.
Thank you, Dr. Slaw. And to the board, thank you for allowing me to honor two of our standing Huron Valley staff members. Education is a hard business, but in Huron Valley, our people never shy away from the difficult challenges or the impossible tasks. Tonight, I would like to introduce you to two members of our HVS family who are incredibly focused on what's best for our students and who continually demonstrate the heart and spirit of our district. And I would like to ask Mrs. Heather Schwalik and Mrs. Santina Marshall to please join me. The first Huron Valley hero is Mrs. Santina Marshall. Santina worked as a part-time counselor at Oak Valley. However, when the need for a Spanish teacher arose, she jumped in with both feet, taking on the classes so our students wouldn't miss out on the opportunity to begin their high school courses in 8th grade. She grew that program and demonstrated to her students that they can accomplish things they never imagined. Santina is a constant cheerleader for her students, literally jumping up and down when they reach a goal. She incorporates art, music, and culture into her classes, and students love the experience they receive with Mrs. Marshall. This year, when we experienced a need in the HVVA for a Spanish teacher, Santina never hesitated to take on 2 additional classes, simply because she didn't want students to miss out on the opportunity of Spanish class. She has created an energized and interactive classroom both for her in-person and virtual students. But that's not all that Mrs. Marshall has been doing. She's also the co-chair of the National Junior Honor Society at Oak Valley, working behind the scenes mostly to set high standards and provide our NJHS members with a variety of opportunities and experiences. Did I mention that Santina is part-time? You'd never know it because she's in the building early, she stays late, she attends after-school events, she supports her colleagues in any way possible, and even tonight, she held a special intramural for the kids since she was going to be around, and they all made pumpkin decorations to take home to their families. Santina is the most positive, energetic, and enthusiastic person I know. She encourages students and staff alike to look on the bright side, to tackle the tough challenges, and to be the best that we can be. Mrs. Santina Marshall is a hero to our students, her colleagues, and to our district. My second hero is Mrs. Heather Schwalik. Historically, librarians have been portrayed as quiet enforcers of a strict environment. And Mrs. Schwalik has wadded up that portrayal and thrown it into her Disney garbage bin. Heather took over the library in 2019 and was just getting things rolling her way when COVID hit. But instead of throwing in the towel, Heather worked to get every kid connected, to solve the technology problems of families, staff, and students alike, and created environments for our kids to come together even when we were apart. Throughout the challenges of COVID, quarantines, and virtual learning, Mrs. Schwalik has been a safe haven for our kids, both in person and online. Whether she is live streaming a sewing lesson from her basement or hosting an after-school online get-together to keep our students connected, Heather operates with students at the focus of all things. She has reinvented the media center to encourage students to hang out. She is exposing our kids to classical music when they're in the media center. She opens the doors to students who are uncomfortable in the lunchroom, and she just creates an environment that is welcoming and accepting to every student at Oak Valley. Mrs. Heather Schwalik is a Huron Valley hero for always putting our kids' well-being first, for supporting our building staff, and for being absolutely awesome. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to honor two of our heroes.
Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to bestow this honor to Santina and to Heather. We thank you for all that you do. I know you guys go above and beyond. I've seen it happen at Oak Valley, and I just want you to know we really appreciate it. Thank you for all you do.
So our next recognition this evening is, you can come on, Mr. Jobeck. For Milford athletic recognitions, we have Mr. Jobeck serving as the advocate. Before he starts, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, Huron Valley prides itself on being a AAA school district. We have so many opportunities for students. And this evening, we have the privilege to recognize students in a number of areas. And so without further ado, Mr. Jobeck.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm very honored to share with you a couple of our teams and what they've accomplished this year. So could I please have Ava Moore and Caroline Colt? Would you come up and join me up here, please? Ava Moore and Caroline Colt represent Milford at the MHSAA State Golf Tournament this past Friday and Saturday at the Meadows Golf Course at Grand Valley State University. Ava, a 3-time all-conference and 2-time state tournament qualifier, finished the state tournament tied for 41st place. Caroline, a 2-time all-conference golfer, was making her MHSAA state tournament debut and finished tied for 75th place. They are both looking forward to their senior seasons next year. Congratulations, Ava and Caroline.
And on behalf of the Board of Education of Huron Valley Schools, I'd like to bestow upon you this day a certificate of achievement. Caroline Colt. Congratulations. And Ava Moore. Congratulations.
Could I now have the equestrian team come on up here, please? I got quite a few. The Milford equestrian team won all 3 district meets and advanced to the MIHA regional meet where they finished second. Their second place finish earned them a spot in the MIHA state meet, and they did not disappoint. They finished 3rd overall in Division A, which is the largest division. It was an extremely tight meet with only 40 points separating 1st, 2nd, and 3rd places. Milford had 9 out of 11 riders who had 1 or more top 10 state placings during the meet. Some of the highlights from the states were Alexis Jarecki won state champion for equestrian acquisition and 3rd place in saddle seat pattern. Nicole McConnell won state runner-up for hunt seat bareback and 3rd place in western bareback. Emma Stanek won 3rd place in western equitation. Sydney Uphoff took 3rd place in both hunt seat equitation and hunt seat bareback. And Jessica Stanek took 3rd place in flag race. Congratulations.
And as I call you up one at a time, it's my honor to bestow upon you a certificate of appreciation. If you want to step over here when we're done, we'll take a picture. Kendall Kopp. Congratulations. Cara Peltier. Caitlin Krakchek. Carolyn May. Nicole McConnell. Congratulations. Sydney Uphoff. Congratulations. Jessica Stanek. Congratulations. Gabriella Washburn. Congratulations. Emma Stanek. Congratulations. Maya Graham. Congratulations. And Alexis Jarecki. Congratulations.
And last, we'd like to recognize the Lakeland High School athletics as well. We're going to start with Lakeland High School equestrian, Dr. Bridget Knudsen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Salah and board members for inviting us here today to highlight some of the wonderful things we have going on at Lakeland High School. I am here to advocate for the Lakeland Eagles 2021-22 equestrian team. And team members and Coach Nicole Best, could you please come up here? So as I said, I am here today on behalf of the 21-22 Lakeland Eagles equestrian team coached by Nicole Best. The team is comprised of, and this is in alphabetical order, Brianna Dawson, Krista Farr, Vanessa Grace, Olivia Hill, Anastasia Shoup, and Bella Ullum. These ladies are part of a fine equestrian tradition at Lakeland High School, reaching state competition just about every year that I can think of for the past decade. They're, no doubt, just an awesome team and a wonderful group of girls. And this year was no different, as the team not only won district competition, but were also reserve champions at our regional competition, which also qualified them for states, which was held this past weekend, where the team placed 8th overall in the entire state of Michigan. Congratulations to Coach Best and this phenomenal team representing the high caliber of Lakeland's athletic programs, as well as the skills, motivation, and integrity needed to succeed regularly at such a high level. I would like to then again congratulate our 2021 Lakeland equestrian team on behalf of all of us in the Lakeland High School community.
Congratulations, coach. Congratulations, teammates. And if you could come up and receive your certificate of achievement. And I'd like to congratulate you on your great successes and for representing Lakeland High School and Huron Valley schools in general so well. And look forward to your future accomplishments. So with that, Brianna Dawson. Vanessa Grace is not here, is that correct? Miss Olivia Hill. All right. Congratulations. Bella Ullum. Krista Farr. Congratulations. Anastasia Shoup. Congratulations.
Great job, Coach Best, and great job to the Lakeland equestrian team. Very proud of you. Last but not least, our advocate this evening for Lakeland High School tennis is our very own president, Sean Carlson.
I might be accused of being a little biased to this group. I've spent a lot of time with this boys tennis group over the last 4 years. Let me get started here. Lakeland's boys tennis 2021, banner year for this Lakeland team. I'm going to ask all the boys if they can come up here, and the coaches, Coach Carlson, Coach Dungan, and Coach Parsons. Please join me up here. A special year for Lakeland's boys tennis 2021. 13-0 regular season. They won the Milford Invitational. They're champions there. They won the Fenton Invitational. They were the Lakes Valley Conference regular season champions. They were the Lakes Valley Conference tournament champions, scoring 22 points out of a possible 24 points. They had 11 Lake Valley Conference, all conference players. They won the MHS, the Michigan High School Athletic Association Division II Region 11 champions, first time in Lakeland's history. And then they were also first time as state finalists. This group has compiled, so it's taken me 4 years to learn tennis here. So we've got games, sets, and matches. Did I get that right, Coach Duncan? All right, very good. Their total record for this season was 154 wins and 20 losses. Just an incredible year. I'm going to call up the doubles team first, and then I'll call up the singles. I want to invite Will Dungan, one of the captains of this team. Come on up, Will. Certificate of Achievement. Caden Carlson, one of the captains of the team. This was the one doubles. Shreyas Tolyer and Joseph Schwartz. Shreyas and Joey were the number 2 doubles. And then we have Hector and Bo Krozik. And then that was our number 3 doubles. And then the 4 doubles was Nick Daniel and AJ Beaky. 5 doubles was Nick Broom and Brady Yonker. So the the doubles team that you see up here was 90-10. The singles team here will help me. Adam, is Adam here? Adam Pluzchek, sorry, needed help with the last name. Adam was our 1 singles. Noah Weinberger. Noah was our 2 singles. Elijah Parsons, our 3 singles. And Logan Hayes was our 4 singles. And I want to invite the coaches up here as well to see anyone have a special word you want to say. Congratulations on a banner year, guys.
I just want to say I've been coaching Lakeland tennis since 2007, and it's been a lot of hard work. And these guys have put in so much work to get where they got this year, along with the coaching staff. This is a lot of years working hard to get to this point, and these guys have done it. They've done amazing things. First time, like Mr. Carlson said, in Lakeland history. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of what they've accomplished. Thank you.
I just want to add a couple of quick thank yous. One, we want to thank both Dr. Knudsen and our athletic director, Todd Miller. He really wanted to be here tonight, but Lakeland is hosting district soccer, and he could not leave the field. So he wanted to congratulate all of you. He is incredibly proud of all of you. He sends me text messages every day just thanking us for such a great accomplishment. I also want to thank all the parents that have come and supported the players. We've had a lot of JV players come up and support us. One of them is Miss Carrie Sanderson's son has come up and he got a varsity letter this year and supported the team and helping us out. Without the parents' support and cheering us on, we played some difficult teams that can be loud, and they did an incredible job of empowering our students. And I will say, Josh and I were both talking that we told these players to leave it out on the court at States, and every single one of them did. Every single one of them left it on the court, and they gave 110% and gave it their all, and we couldn't be more proud. Congratulations.
We're going to take a brief 5-minute recess.
somebody in the audience.
Okay, we're going to get started here. We moved the board president comments. I've got some comments here that I'm going to make, and then we'll go right into the agenda. Huron Valley Board of Education has been focused this year on reaching out and listening to our community. In August, we had our first quarterly community connection forums at Kurtz and Spring Mills Elementary Schools. All 7 board members were in attendance between both of the forums that were held. These forums allowed for parents that may not be comfortable speaking in public to have one-on-one sessions with board members. Our next forums are scheduled for the month of November and will be held at White Lake Middle and Oak Valley Middle Schools. Another approach in seeking feedback from our community stakeholders was our community task force. This past week on Tuesday, October 12th, we kicked off our task force on preparing our students for success in tomorrow's economy. PTA and local PTA presidents and local principals were asked for and selected volunteers from each of their local schools. Also, teachers and administrators were also asked to participate in this task force. The objectives of the task force are to, 1, understand and discuss learning loss created by COVID-19 and what we can do in our programming, our educational programming, to close that gap. Number 2, understand and discuss social and emotional well-being of our students and how to close the gaps that have widened during the COVID-19 pandemic. Number 3 is to discuss and explore new programming ideas to prepare our students, pre-kindergarten through 12th grade, for the new economy. The discussions and solutions will help to frame the Huron Valley School Boards of Education's approach and strategic planning for the district. This first meeting was very productive and it was organic. The board, of course, does not have a predetermined goal, and as a board, we believe that it is critical to seek feedback and understanding from our key stakeholders, parents, teachers, and administrators. I want to thank those teachers and administrators and parents that have volunteered to be a part of this effort and advocates for our Huron Valley students. We are just starting and there is a lot to be accomplished, but the energy and enthusiasm marks the beginning of a great start. At the conclusion of the task force meeting, I was approached after the meeting by a couple of parents expressing concern and seeking advice on how to approach parents that may be planning on voting no on the non-homestead millage on November 2nd. Voting no either because of the mask mandate issued by Oakland County, or no because of the lack of transportation routes, or no because of the school staff labor shortages. There is no doubt that Huron Valley is experiencing issues regarding staffing. The beginning of every school year has always been marked by some bumps and kinks to work out, whether it is in the classroom, school buildings, or transportation routes. But this year is an outlier. It certainly is an outlier when we compare the staffing shortages versus prior years in Huron Valley at this point in time of the school year. However, it is not an outlier when we compare to other school districts in the region, state, or nation. It is not an outlier when compared to other employers in the region, state, or nation. Unfortunately, we are dealing with the secondary effects of a global pandemic. The secondary impacts of the pandemic are disrupting the supply chain and the health of our economy. Huron Valley School District has responded by addressing every labor group in the district, and we have increased their compensation at a greater average than in years past to be competitive in the marketplace. Individuals in the labor market are reflecting and making choices to leave careers. Some are retiring early and some are choosing to go on to become entrepreneurs or do other things. We have experienced this with our own personnel. Whatever the case, Huron Valley is not immune from these labor shortages. Teachers, like nurses, are leaving their professions at record numbers. Bus drivers, like restaurant workers, are hard to come by. Now more than ever, it is important to protect and strengthen the talent pipeline. Economic and workforce development understand the importance of strong schools in helping to get out of this labor shortage crisis. A no vote does not strengthen the talent pipeline. It has the opposite impact and potential damage business attraction efforts for new businesses to our community. A no vote because of transportation issues only makes resolving the transportation issue more difficult to resolve by cutting 11% of Huron Valley's budget. A no vote because of an Oakland County mask mandate will only hurt Huron Valley students by delivering and creating a $10 million operational budget gap. A no vote because of the staff shortage in Huron Valley will not resolve the issue, but instead will only complicate and exacerbate the issue. It will potentially impact the quality of the talent pipeline we are providing to our local businesses. A no vote does not bring higher prices to our local consumers. This is simply a renewal and a restoration of 18 mills and is already calculated in local businesses' price model. A no vote hurts the value of all homeowners in the district. Any real estate agent will tell you strong schools mean strong communities. Strong communities can be measured by one way they can be measured is by the value of our homes. One way to potentially disrupt and begin to deflate our homes is by not passing a millage renewal and restoration. A no vote because of the staffing shortage will not resolve the issue, will only complicate. So please, if you're truly interested in being an advocate for all of the students in the district, please vote yes, yes on November 2nd. Thank you very much, and let's help to preserve the foundation and build a better school district for tomorrow. Thank you. I'll now turn section 3, items from the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, good evening to everybody. We're going to start, I have 2 agenda items. We're going to start, the first one is actually walking through the non-homestead millage. in a little bit more detail. To do that, I'm going to show a brief video that we have put together as a school district. Before I do that, one of my favorite parts of board meetings is when we have kids here. I think it is just absolutely fantastic to be able to recognize our students, their achievements, because frankly, that's why we're here, right? So, I would be remiss if I didn't share, when I think about the breadth of options that our kids have. I mean, you saw this evening, we had an opportunity to recognize equestrian. How often do you see that? I mean, can you think of actually a single instance in a school district where they were able to recognize 2 equestrian teams from 2 different high schools in the same district? I mean, that is just truly remarkable. We were able to recognize our girls golf team and the accomplishments of 2 golfers. We were able to recognize our boys tennis team, and just look at the breadth of opportunities that our kids have. And I underscore those comments because as we lead into this non-homestead conversation, this is about the ability to continue to offer high quality programming for our students that were on display this evening. That's what this is about. It's about nothing else but kids. It's about nothing else but supporting the educational efforts of the children that attend schools in the Huron Valley schools, attracting and retaining the best possible staff that we can so that we can compete not only in the state, but the nation and globally. And that's what we're doing here as a school district. So with that, on a lighter note, I'm going to ask Rose to cue up a video that does a much better job explaining the non-homestead millage than I probably can. So.
We know that the issue of your taxes is an important one. HVS would never assume otherwise. We also know that if you're bored watching this video, you will not pay attention. You know what's not boring? Mascots. Mascots are actually the opposite of boring. It's not often that mascots will speak up, but I know a few of them, and they've decided to make an exception for this one time.
Hey, I'd like to talk to you. Let me score this touchdown first. Howdy, friends. On November 2nd, voters within the Huron Valley School District will be asked to decide on 2 measures. One to restore and one to renew the 18 mills on non-homestead property, which applies only to businesses, rental properties, and vacation homes.
So that means if you own only one home in our school district, this does not affect your property taxes at all. Zip, zero, nil, nada.
Michigan schools are required to seek approval from voters approximately every 10 years for their non-homestead villages. The state of Michigan, it's shaped like a midden, expects us to levy 18 mills on non-homestead property. Again, that means it does not apply to the house you live in most of the time. It does apply to the businesses and second homes.
Funds generated by the non-homestead millage pay for buses and the fuel to run them, utilities like gas and electricity, employee salaries, including bus drivers, custodians, and food service staff, as well as books and other supplies.
So, y'all, what happens if voters don't approve the millage? HVS would lose more than $10 million in funding. That's about 11% of all the money we get. And that's a lot.
Yes, that's quite a bit.
So we're asking you to remember to vote on Tuesday, November 2nd, or earlier by absentee ballot.
Remember, whether you're a Maverick
or an Eagle, please vote on Tuesday, November 2nd, on Huron Valley Schools non-homestead millage.
HVS, the kids are counting on you. Thank you, Rose. You can imagine the bloopers. I think there is a blooper reel out there somewhere. Yeah. So, to underscore the importance of this, I mean, those of you who know the voice of Lakeland, he even agreed to be the Maverick. So that's just to show you how important, this is. So yeah, we had a good time with that, and it was an opportunity to present a topic that frankly is a little dry and can be a little confusing as well. So the key points to take away: one, and I've showed this to every PTA group that I've met with, and tomorrow evening I have an opportunity to be at the White Lake Township meeting, and I will be showing that there as well. I'm sure they will get a kick out of it. Few key points here. One, obviously it doesn't impact the primary residential owner. It does impact the businesses and second homes. Two, the state of Michigan assumes that this routine millage passes every 10 years when they calculate the minimum foundation allowance. So the least amount of money that we could receive per student to deliver an education, everything included, is $8,700 per pupil. If this were to fail, that number would go down to about $7,600 per pupil. So it's significant. As Mr. Carlson mentioned in his comments, it makes up about 11% of our total budget. It's $10.5 million total. To give you some context, last year, I believe when we did our fourth quarter budget amendment, we had about $5.5 million in our savings account. So if we were to lose $10.5 million overnight, that equates to significant programmatic cuts. And frankly, you can't even sustain operating with that kind of a loss. It would take years upon years upon years to recover from 1 year of not collecting the non-homestead millage. So there are two questions, and the first question is simply a renewal. This is built into the budgets of our businesses and second homes because this is a tax that's been around, forever. Not actually forever, but for a very long time. So that renewal, you'll see there, it's the fourth line down where it says Michigan be renewed for a period of 10 years. We're asking the voters to make a decision regarding the renewal. And then the second question, and this question, if you go on to the next slide, this question tends to be a little bit more confusing. And the reason it's confusing is because in that third line, it says the word increased. And so if you're unfamiliar with the non-homestead millage, you might think, oh my gosh, this is an increase in tax, when in actuality, it's not. We have the ability as a school district to levy 18 mills. And when this was passed 10 years ago, the voters approved 18 mills. But what happens is when property values increase, the taxpayer cannot be charged at the same rate of increase beyond inflation. So the example I use, and this is the simplest way I can explain it, there's a law that passed in 1978. It's called the Headley Rollback. And so from 1978 to present day, if you have a property or business that's worth $100,000, and let's say it's increased in value by $10,000 in the course of 1 year, but the rate of inflation is only 3% or $3,000, then we can only collect tax on the $103,000, not the full $110,000. And that's why that mill rate decreases slightly, because we're not collecting the full taxable value that the school district would be entitled to. So we have to go back out to the community and ask to restore back to the 18 mills, but we can never collect more than the 18 mills. So, Mr. Carlson, that is a high-level overview of the non-homestead millage. Before I move on, I don't know if there are questions from the board of me or any comments or statements that the board would like to make.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Dodd?
So I've been at a couple of PTA meetings and with Dr. Sala and a couple of the parents said, what is a millage? Like what is it? And so I think, you know, at the easiest, I just Googled. And so I'll share with you what's on the Google. It represents the tax rate levied on a real estate or other property. And a mill is 1/1000th of a dollar or 1/10 of a cent. A rate of 10 mills means $10. So just to give a little bit of idea of what exactly is a millage and why do we do this. And the other thing I think that's helpful is we just voted a couple years ago, what's the difference between that and this? And the difference between that and this is that was bond, BSSF, that has to do with physical structure, building, equipment. And this millage is for the rest. The people, the operations, that sort of stuff. So it's two different pots of money. It's not that one has already run out, so we're coming to ask for more. It's two different pots that both have to be voted on, and it just so happens that those are 2 years apart for our district.
Thank you, Ms. Dodd. Mr. Weissman.
Yes, just a clarification, Dr. Salah. If I heard you correctly, though, right now we're assessing less than 18 mills.
Yes, that's correct. If you look at actually this slide, the last, second to last line, right now the school district is leaving about $367,730 off the table, meaning we are not collecting the full dollar value that the school district is entitled to collect. So we're actually not collecting $8,700 per pupil right now. We're not collecting that full $8,700.
Which is the point that I'm trying to making is right now, even though we're at a basic foundation, we're at the lowest foundation that a school district in the state of Michigan would have to support their students. We're actually below that.
That's correct. Because
the subtlety of the law, we're below that 18 mills. So the state doesn't make up that difference. And that's why it's a renewal and a restoration so that we can receive that basic foundation, which is the lowest within the state of Michigan.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, you have another item, staffing update.
Yes, thank you. So my second item is staffing update. I know this is an area that we've had several questions from the board and from the community as we continue to work through year 3 of this pandemic and the unintended consequences of the pandemic. We are also unfortunately subject to the national shortages that we're seeing in staffing across the country. You know, I think it's important to note it's not just school districts. I think those of you who are out there watching, all you have to do is turn on the radio or any news outlet. Well, yeah, here you go. Or any news outlet, and you'll see that there's several stories on labor shortages all the way across the board, from fast food to retail to any industry that you can name. So I wanted to spend some time and just walk through basically each of the categories and where we're at today, or where I expect us to be. So if we could actually does my clicker work? Oh, my clicker works. Hey, that's great. Okay, I can do the driving, Rose. Thank you. So the first item I want to talk about is transportation, and I picked this first because it's probably the area that we've heard the most about. We've had the most questions from the community regarding, and every time I attend a PTA, I always open it up and say, you can ask me anything you want to ask me. And there's always a question about transportation. So I'm just going to put it right out there, give everybody the same exact information that I have as I sit here this evening at 7:05. So HVSSP, our transportation staff, when we were at the end of September, we had 8 open routes. That doesn't include individuals that might call in sick. As you can imagine, in this COVID environment, we are strongly encouraging people that if they are not feeling well, not to come to work. That has the consequence when you are 8 routes short to have to unfortunately cancel two additional routes overnight, which, you know, for our parents out there, I know is incredibly challenging. I, as a father, am personally dealing with it as well, having to make last minute adjustments and rearrangements and going into work late and all that sort of thing. It is commonplace across the state And while it is commonplace across the state, please hear me. I'm not saying that that should be, that it should make you feel any better. I guess my point is that doesn't solve the problem that we're up against. So while I recognize it's commonplace, I'm not saying that because I want you to just disregard that it's an issue, because I know it's an issue, and I'm naming it as an issue. So our first attempt to resolve the staffing shortages was to plan rotating cancellations. And what we found was, as a result of rotating cancellations, while you might have 24 hours notice, or even if we gave you 2 days notice, it was those last minute call-ins. 2 bus drivers, 3 bus drivers, 4 bus drivers, then we're all of a sudden canceling routes at 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. That created an incredible disruption to our families. So we needed to come up with an option that could help create some greater level of consistency, because we had everybody with the CDL driving that could drive, including our dispatchers, our front office, our director, as well as all of our mechanics, and they still couldn't keep up with the number of routes that we have, covering 107 square miles. We're unique in that as a school district. Not all school districts have the same number of routes or have to drive the same number of miles as Huron Valley schools, and we don't receive any additional funds as a result of that. It's a fundamental flaw in the system. So we made the plan to go with the planned cancellations to provide greater consistency for our families, so people at least knew when the routes would be canceled. At the end of September, we were able to hire 2 drivers. So take that 8 open routes, reduce it by 2, but those folks have to go through 4 weeks of training in order to get their CDL. Those folks have gone through the training. We expect them to be able to be on the roads here soon. And I would also mention, Mr. Van Gotham, if you have anything you need to add that I'm missing, please feel free to jump in once I'm done here. And that also goes for Ms. Glover Payne and Mr. Tavernier in the areas that you oversee. And of course, Mr. Carlson, feel free to jump in. So over since that change in strategy in transportation, we've interviewed an additional 15 drivers or so. Of the 15, we have hired 9 with experience. Now, those folks do not have to go through the training, which is really good news, because that's what elongates this process. So they do have to, however, give 2 weeks notice to their current employer. So we expect them to be on board November 1. So you remember when I started, I said we have 8 open routes. We hired 2 who have gone through the training. We just hired 9 additional. That should cover all of our routes and give us a little bit of wiggle room for some subs should we have some absences. We also have 6 other folks out there that are not credentialed that we interviewed, that we are working with 3 to 4 of them and offering them positions. And we are going to cover their training costs and everything associated. We don't want there to be any deterrent from somebody taking a job with the Huron Valley Schools and Transportation. So as I sit here this evening, you have, my most honest, transparent, articulation of what has transpired from the beginning of the year to now. I am hopeful that by early November, we are going to be in full swing. And as of Friday evening, unless Mr. Van Gotham has something different for me, because I said it 4 times to him, I don't want to say this on Monday evening if we aren't at least relatively confident that we're moving in that direction.
No, my message is the same as of early November. We will be back.
Okay.
Driving our students every single day to school and home from school, as well as field trips and athletics.
Okay, good. So that's the latest update we have on transportation. We have 1 vacancy at Muir Middle School principal. We are actively involved in going through our process for hiring, which included having TLT as well as HR visit with the staff there to gather feedback and input regarding the leadership characteristics that they're looking for in their next principal. That process is well underway, and I hope to have a permanent principal named by early November. This is another area that's a huge challenge for us. This is probably, the next area that we need to think about what we can do strategically to try to attract some staff. We've essentially reduced the number of locations that we offer school age care throughout the district from 8 to 3. And we did that in an effort to continue offering school age care, but obviously there's greater need than we have staff for. We've got to get more creative in this area. And I asked Mr. Tavernier, and we've been talking about this. We've increased the rate of pay. We've done all the obvious things. So I want that to be really clear. We've increased the rate of pay. We've offered incentive and signing bonuses and all those creative solutions. We've got to do something on top of that because right now, 3 locations is just not enough. We need to get back to our 8. There are some licensing implications that we're well aware of as well. So this is an area we're working diligently on also. Paraeducators, we have 10 vacancies right now. Again, this is an area where we've offered increased compensation and hourly rate of pay, especially in hard to fill areas. HV, ESP, which is our secretaries and administrative assistants. We have 2 vacancies at this point. Teaching staff right now, as of this afternoon, unless this is incorrect, Ms. Glover Payne, we have 5 vacancies. 2 of them are social work. One is a physics biochem teacher who actually we lost. They resigned and went to another school district, I think, right in the middle of the school year. So those are the kinds of things that happen, and it's not unique to Huron Valley schools. I will tell you, I know of some school districts that have upwards of 70 teacher vacancies that they have not filled. So we're actually in better shape than some. We have 1 Spanish teacher opening, very difficult position to fill, and we have 1 English teacher opening that we continue to work towards. While we're on this topic, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention substitute teachers as well. There is a national substitute teacher shortage. I have to give a shout out to our teachers. I'm so grateful for our teachers who are stepping up and teaching on their planning periods in many instances. It's a long day when you're on your feet delivering high quality instruction and being creative. And that planning period that you have gives you that little bit of time to rethink how you want to reshape a lesson and retool that for the next group of kids, and what you want to take from the formative assessment that you've gleaned for the first 2 hours and apply to the next several hours in the next school day. And many of our teachers are stepping up and picking up on their planning periods in order to meet the void that we have in substitute teachers. And, again, I'm always fully transparent with the community. There's a wide range. Some days we fill 70% of our vacancies, and the next it might be 95%. But when you're down to 70%, it's really, really difficult. You've got a lot of people who are subbing on their planning period. So it is absolutely a challenge that we're struggling with, along with many others across the county and the state. Maintenance and operations, we continue to hire. I think, Jeffrey, we've hired 5 in the last week and a half that I've heard of. Is that correct?
Yeah, that sounds about correct. Yes.
We still have 8 vacancies. 2 are 8-hour. 1 is a 6-hour. 1 is a 4-hour AM. And there's a utility AM and a utility PM, which basically means that they can fill in where there are vacancies amongst the sub ranks. And we are looking for a permanent sub custodian in the PM and 1 groundsman. This is much better than it was at the beginning of the school year. So we're making progress in this area as well. Food service, we have 8 vacancies. We are scaling back on any special events or anything like that. Food service continues to be a challenge area that we'll need to to continue to think strategically about. Again, this is another area, all the obvious things we've done. We've increased wages, we've offered incentives, and so on and so forth. And then this is like miscellaneous lunch aids that they might come in for an hour and they're there and available for our elementary kiddos at lunchtime. I would also mention for our listening audience, we've made it really lucrative to combine different positions. So if you're looking for work and you're a lunch aide and you're doing school age care and we can get to that 30 hours a week, we're offering full benefits. That's not something we've done in the past. That's at an extraordinary cost, but we need people. We need people that are willing to work, and we're coming up with creative solutions to make it beneficial for the school district as well as for those who are interested in doing this work. Benefits, those of you that are business owners out in the community, you know how expensive benefits are. They're extraordinarily expensive, and we've offered that as an additional incentive. So that concludes my staffing presentation, Mr. Carlson.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, Mr. Tavernier's got a question.
I just want to add real quick, Dr. Salah, we also have a couple openings in our special education department. We are looking for an ASD teacher, categorical classroom teacher, as well as a few resource room teachers. And I believe we have a couple social workers also that we have posted out there. So we encourage any credentialed applicants to submit those applications, but just wanted to mention that as well from our special ed team.
Thank you, Mr. Tavernier. Is that beyond what we saw on the slide for social work? There were two social work on the
Okay,
slide.
so we know I have just two, so that was
Okay.
already there. I missed that. I wanted to make sure we mentioned the special education resource room.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
And interviews for the social workers took place today and a recommendation is being made.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Any board members with any questions regarding staffing? Thank you, Dr. Salah, for that report. And we'll now move to section 4, items from the board. Madam Secretary, any correspondence?
Nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Treasurer, any?
Mr. President, I just want to talk about the representative for the District Parent Council, and we met on the 20th of September and had a good discussion about non-homestead, about different things happening, community rec and ed. And I guess I would just like to make sure that the members of the District Parent Council know how appreciative we are. They're the go-to. They know what's happening in their buildings. They're always great with giving us feedback and answers and what's going on. And so I'd like to, thank them for their continued help.
Okay, thank you. Vice President Forrest.
Sure. I just want to thank our new teachers for coming out tonight and showing who they are, and I wish them well on this year. Things are still a little bumpy, but Huron Valley is a great place to work. It's a great place to live, and it's a great place to be a student. So looking forward to hearing and seeing what goes on this year with our newbies. I wanted to say to Mr. Carlson that I enjoyed the task force meeting we had on October 12th of last week. I had some great conversations with parents, with teachers, with administrators, and there were some rich conversations for how we can move forward with growth for our students, both academically, artistically, and mentally. So I look forward to the next meeting that we have. And again, just a shout out to the student athletes that represented our district so well. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Long.
Nothing this evening.
Mr. Weissman.
Yes, a couple things. Number one, I too want to recognize our athletes that were here today, but more importantly, while we certainly enjoy their success on and off the field, I really want to say thank you to them and all of our people that are within our students, our young men and women that represent Huron Valley. I've always been extraordinarily proud of how they are ambassadors for our valley. not only at home meets and home matches, but more importantly, sometimes when they're away from the Valley. They are truly ambassadors. They really show the quality of our community, the support that we receive from our parents and our teachers, and I couldn't be more proud of them. At the same time, part of that reflection too is thinking back a year ago, we didn't have this opportunity to really recognize these young men and women. We truly are a AAA school district. Along with that, we certainly not only embrace the academics, but the whole child, the mental health piece, the social engagement piece is just as important. And it's so refreshing, not only from an athletic standpoint, but the arts and the clubs and the opportunities for our students to participate this year, that those opportunities weren't available last year. And I'm certainly grateful for that on an individual basis, but more importantly for our students to have those opportunities, because we know how important it is for that engagement and that participation and really that motivation in and outside the classroom. The other thing that I do want to recognize, last week, the USDA celebrated the National School Lunch Week. And while it says National School Lunch Week, really what we're doing is honoring those individuals that provide those lunches to our students. And if you think back the last 2 years, 3 years, what our food service people have done as it relates to providing the basic services to our community has been just enormous. We know that it has taken on a greater significance these last couple of years as our schools and our communities have continued to work together to navigate the ever-changing pandemic situation and ensure that our students and our children receive nutritious lunches, breakfasts, not only during the normal school day in school year, but also during the summer. We recognize the importance of school meals to our children's ability to learn and grow. And I just want to take this opportunity on behalf of the entire board to recognize our Huron Valley heroes that provide that service to our students each and every day, and how every person that works is employed and is a partner, whether it's a volunteer, whether it's a custodian, a food service person, the whole gambit of people that participate and work with us, that we're focused on our students and what's best for them. And I just want to point out our food service people and the tremendous work and the tremendous impact that they've had on our community, and say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weissman. Ms. Dodd?
Yes, I had an opportunity to have lunch a couple of times with some of the teachers in the teacher lunchroom. And the thing that struck me the most as they were just sitting there having their regular lunch with this random weird lady in the lunchroom with them was that we as a district invested a few years ago in making sure there is a social worker in every elementary school. And when that should get claps, because that's hugely important. And I think the thing that I was impressed with is they're not taking, when I sat in the lunchroom, they weren't taking a break. Sure, they were sitting, they weren't in front of students, but they were actually strategizing with their social worker, with their behavior intervention coach, and with each other about how to work with this kid on the next step and the next step and the next step. And that social emotional component really took over the lunches. And it wasn't just one lunch, it was multiple lunches where that's really their topic of conversation at lunch. And just the focus on that, I'm so grateful that we had those social workers in place before the pandemic, and that they're there and they're part of an instructional team and a school community to help support the kids, because this certainly, every kid has experienced this in a different way, and knowing there are those wonderful systems of support and people not only helping the kids, but helping the educators learn how to help each individual kid. It warmed my heart and made me feel so good. I do wish that they could have spent 5 minutes talking about TV show or something, but I was really grateful to hear their work and their collegiality really in support of the kids. So I appreciate the district really focusing on those social workers and that support for the kids, especially at the elementary school, and the forethought that they had. As it relates to staffing shortages, I have been looking around the last week or so to figure out what's happening on the state and federal level as it relates to how they're feeling the burden of some of the staffing issue. Because I know if we ran a small business and we saw staffing issues, we would adjust our rate of pay, we would adjust some of these things. And at a district, we can do that a little bit, but then we bump into our per pupil allocation and we're not really able to do more. So I've been looking around to see what's happening, and I was really happy today to see a very, very new House Bill 5109. It's a state House bill. And it looks like what they're going to try to do is do a salary and benefits analysis to figure out how are our educators being paid based on their college experience. So master's degree, bachelor's degree plus this, compared to their peers. So not necessarily always other teachers, but other people with similar academic credentials with similar jobs. So it sounds like what they want to do is look at that and make sure that we're working with appropriate pay scales for people with this level of education, and then hopefully fund to supply the money that we need in order to pay people a fair wage. I know that a lot of large organizations do this on a relatively consistent basis, but I don't know that this has happened for educators in the state of Michigan in a long time. So I was happy to see that. It is a very new bill, so I know it will be noodled around and tossed back and forth and ripped apart and hopefully put back together again into something people can come together and support, because we value our teachers, we value our paraeducators, we value our bus drivers, and we want to make sure we're paying them a fair wage that they deserve based on their experience and their education. So we'll keep a look on that, but I was happy to see that.
Thank you, Ms. Dodd. And I want to thank all the board members for getting out into the community and into the classrooms, the school buildings. I want to also thank Mr. Long and Mr. Weissman for joining me on a crusade to go on 3 tiers of bus routes a few weeks ago on a Friday afternoon. Mr. Weissman met me there, and Mr. Long did at 5:30 at the bus garage. AM. Yes, AM. And I was on Route 9 over in Lakeland, and then I'm not sure, what were you, Route 11 over in Milford?
Yeah, I was Melford, Muir, and all the bumpy roads for Johnson Elementary School.
Yeah, I think Jeffrey put us purposely on the bumpy roads, but it was a good experience. And Mr. Long went out and saw some of the routes and some of the issues, especially as it relates to Milford High School here. I know he has shared that with the superintendent. We are trying to address that issue. He was also over at Kurtz. I had the opportunity to go out with Miss Nicole on these 3 routes, routes that she did. Lakeland High School was the first one. Of course, it was dark, and it was high school students, and no one said anything. And it was very quiet. And then I just love her spirit, though. She really enjoys Huron Valley, especially this time of the year. The leaves are colored, and she's on all these back roads, gravel roads, not complaining, just enjoying the beauty of the back roads of Huron Valley. And then we picked up middle schoolers, and I forgot how much middle schoolers like to chat. And it was a loud bus. And then I thought, wow, I got to imagine the elementary kids will be a little bit quieter. And Miss Nicole told me, no, that's not the case at all. And boy, were they loud. And she had a full bus. But I had to laugh because she has their names up by their seats and where they're supposed to sit. And this little kindergartner got on with his 2nd grade sister. They didn't say anything to me. They just looked at me. I was obviously in their seat. And so I said, oh, I'm sorry. I asked Jackson to move over in the next seat over. And of course, there was a young lady who was kind of bubbly, and she was all over the bus. And this Miss Nicole had just the right disposition. You run into these people once in a while that are able to use that disciplined voice, but not sound mean at the same time. And she had it down to a knack. And so I offered some help and kind of sandwiched her between Jackson and I, so she couldn't get up on she wasn't going to move a 200-pound person. But she pulled out her flashcards and started giving me flashcards. And so I was going through my flashcards and became a center of interest by all the kids. Wow, you're really good at this. And then they started to think I was cheating, so they were covering up the little answers in the corner. So then I said, well, it's my turn. And we worked on flashcards on the way to school route. That was to Oxbow. But we just have tremendous staff. And I think it's always important. And this is what this school board is trying to do through the task force, through the community connection forums, and also getting out into the building and the routes to truly understand some of the issues that our employees are facing every day. And I just I want to thank all the board members for doing that effort. I know, some boards might just come to the board meetings and the committee meetings. This board goes above and beyond, and thank you for that. So without further ado, we'll move to section 5, student leadership comment. And we do not have any. It will now go to association comments. Ms. Hollander.
Good evening. I'm going to go off script for a minute because I just want to say exactly what Mr. Carlson said. When you are out there on the bus, in our lunchrooms, really just in there with all of our staff, that means a lot. It honors them, and it really shows that you are all in this together, and I appreciate that. So good evening. These 6 weeks into school have certainly been a roller coaster of a ride. So many happy students, dozens of new skills learned, and relationships between educators and their students strengthening each day. Unfortunately, as we talked this evening, there are many difficulties this year that are out of our control, but nonetheless, these challenges impact all of our days. And in the midst of everything this fall, we've also bargained a new contract between the HBEA and the district, and that tentative agreement is being brought to you tonight for a vote. I want to thoroughly thank my HBEA bargaining team, who has worked tirelessly over the past 7 months advocating for the needs of our educators. And I also want to acknowledge the collaboration that we've had with the district bargaining team as we've talked through concerns, brainstormed solutions, and finally wound our way to this moment. Besides bargaining, a lot of my time this fall has been spent with all of our new educators that were here, and I'm glad we let them go because they have to be up bright and early tomorrow. I have been fortunate to get to know so many of them. These 40 educators have come to us with a wide range of experience, extensive knowledge base, and so much enthusiasm. Our new educators span elementary, middle, and high school, including many who are special education teachers, specials teachers, speech and language pathologists, social workers, counselors, and teachers for our English language learners. We've hired quite a lot of people. For some, this is their first job in public schools. They come to us with fresh new ideas, extensive knowledge and technology, and a contagious enthusiasm. For our veteran educators, we benefit from their experience that they've gained in their prior districts, and they share these ideas in our school and across the district. We grow stronger as an HBS community when we learn from the experience of others. In addition, quite a few of our new hires have either grown up in Huron Valley or currently live within our borders. Both Holly Chamberlain, a Virtual Academy kindergarten teacher, and Chloe Tingley, a 4th grade teacher at Oxbow, shared with me that they grew up in the Huron Valley schools and they have children who've attended our schools as well. Being an educator in Huron Valley is why they are here. Talking with some of our other new hires, they've shared that they're already building strong relationships with their colleagues. They've experienced supporting each other through unexpected challenges. They've laughed at all the fun times and the tough times together, and they're really grateful for the warm welcome from the building staff. Being with their students is, of course, their favorite part of the day. They readily shared with me how they're already connected to their students, whether it's in the classrooms or virtually. They relish watching them grow as learners. Some examples include working on Spanish vocabulary by playing Simón dice, or Simon says, in Spanish, listening to their kindergarteners share the stories that they wrote in class, and hearing their first graders read a book cover to cover from the first time. Although these 40 educators are new to Huron Valley, they already know the importance of connecting with their students. One educator shared with me that her favorite moments with her students are, quote, watching them get more comfortable with me by sharing personal information. It shows a level of trust I was hoping to establish. And another educator said, quote, I am so very proud of the way my students have opened up with all the challenges that they've experienced in the last year and a half. They have been very honest about their struggles and what they need help with. Although it's only been 6 weeks, our new educators have already felt the willingness from their colleagues to answer their questions, and they've experienced the support of their administrators as they've listened to their concerns. As one educator said, to sum it all up, quote, there's such a support, a team approach in Huron Valley, and if you reach out, someone will help you. So to our new educators, we are definitely here to help, but we're also here to learn from you. Thank you for choosing the Valley to be your home. We are grateful you are here. We're looking forward to so many years of supporting each other, our students, and our families in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Now move to public comment. I do have 2 public comments here, but they are not related to the agenda, so I'm going to move through. Are there any other public comments, Ms. Hill? Are there any other public comments? Okay. We'll go to, if you have a public comment, please bring that up to Ms. Hill. And sir, if do you have this paperwork? Lori, can you bring those to me just to see if we have any agenda items before? Thank you, Lori. Two items on mask. I don't have that on the agenda, so these are section 12 items. So we'll go to reports from the board committees. The executive committee, I am up first here. The executive committee, I'll make this quick. We'll try to get through each one of these committee reports. The executive committee met on, apologize here, on October 11th, on Monday, October 11th at 8 a.m. Present was myself, Denise Forrest, Mr. Weissman, Dr. Salah, Jeffrey Van Gotham, Relisha Glover, and Paul Twigg. We also had the construction folks there from TMP as well. We adjourned at 10:02. The items that we discussed were the board meeting agenda for this evening. We talked about construction project and timelines by TMP and Clark Construction. We specifically had questions around Apollo, Kurtz, Spring Mills, Country Oaks Elementary, and Heritage Elementary, which are part of Bid Pack 5. It's the next group of elementary schools. We also talked about the existing projects and some punch list items that need to take place at Lakewood, Apollo, Johnson, and Highland Elementary as well. That was the bulk of our time was spent there. We talked about the Johnson Early Childhood Center, and we discussed the merits of postponing the Early Childhood Center, given the challenges associated with the cost inflation. And Dr. Salah recommended postponing the project for a year in order to allow for the fluctuations in the market to subside. And then We had the staffing update, which you heard this evening from Dr. Salah. We also talked about non-homestead, which you also heard in the superintendent's report. We had a collective bargaining update, which you heard from Ms. Hollander just a few minutes ago as well. So that was what we discussed at the executive committee meeting. And now I'll turn it over to TLT, Teaching, Learning, and Technology. I think Ms.
Okay.
Dodd.
Yep, we've had 2 meetings since our last board meeting, so I'll go through these hopefully relatively quickly. Our first meeting was October 1st at 10 a.m. at the administration building. Present were myself, Lindsay Cotter, Denise Pistana, John Trevernier, Dr. Sala, Jennifer Bjorkman, Martin Lindbergh, Lena Nemeth, Terry Thompson, Jill McDonald, Karen Emerson, and student leaders Caden Carlson, Haley Greenshields, Jamie Jackson, Erica Lakides, and Fletcher Smith. We did not have public comment. We had the student leaders introduce themselves to the TLT committee, and the goal is for them to have a student voice and participation in the operations of the schools. So we're thrilled to have the students involved. Their first thing that they're working on for us is an arts, athletics, and activities survey. The AAA committee developed a survey for the students and parent committee member or community members to get data around the level of participation and involvement in the arts, athletics, and activities across the district. The student survey was reviewed. Students will facilitate and distribute and collect the surveys at the high school level and share preliminary findings at the next meeting. We had a presentation from Mrs. McDonald about the English Learner Program. Over the past 2 years, the district's had an increase in the number of English learner students exiting the program. With increased enrollment of EL students this year, we added 2 full-time English language learner certified teachers to support 4 of our elementary buildings. And then we talked about literacy essentials with Mrs. Emerson. She shared an update about the Literacy Essentials Oakland program. The program began of March 2020 at the very start of the pandemic, and we have continued to move forward with implementation of essential instruction, practice in early literacy, and essential school-wide and center-wide practice in literacy across curriculum in every classroom every day. As it related to we talked about the consent agenda. There's a consent agenda this evening about calculators. We are supportive. We also talked about accommodations, specifically as it relates to the virtual academy and 504 plans. We talked a little bit about this with the social workers and counselors to get a better understanding of how that works as it relates to the HVVA. And then we discussed also a little bit about the benchmark assessments, and just to clarify the use of iReady and the iReady at home versus the MAP and benchmark assessment. So the MAP benchmark assessment is going to be used for 4 through 8 and iReady for kindergarten through 3. We adjourned at 11:55. The next meeting was October 15th, and I will share those meeting minutes as well. October 15th, we started at 10 o'clock a.m. in the administration building. Present were myself, Lindsay Cotter, Denise Pistana, John Trevernier, Dr. Sala, Jennifer Bjorkman, Martin Lindbergh, Lena Nemeth, Terry Thompson, student leaders Haley Greenshields, Jamie Jackson, Erica Lakides, and Fletcher Smith. We had no public comment. The students delivered their survey results. They were so fast with the turnaround. They shared preliminary results with the students about the arts, athletics, and activities. The final report will be provided to the AAA committee on October 25th. Mr. Lindbergh shared information with us about the new curriculum site. This will be a website where parents can go on to view very specific curriculum as it relates right now to math and the ELA courses. Eventually, we will update and everything will be on this, but for now, we want to launch it even though we haven't had an opportunity to get everything on there, and that will launch in November-ish, and there will be a presentation at a board meeting once that is launched. We also discussed technology services. Mr. Trevernier shared an update on a bunch of projects going on as it relates to technology services, infrastructure upgrades, Chromebook distribution, clocks and PA system installation, security systems, classroom displays, and cybersecurity. Mr. Pierce has served as interim technology services manager since April 2020, and we are reviewing support across the department. It's ongoing. Other agenda items, there are no more consent agendas, just the calculator we mentioned in the last one. And then staffing, we discussed some initiatives to support staff with ongoing staffing challenges faced across the district, and we adjourned at 11:22 a.m. Our next meeting is November 5th at 10 a.m. at the administration building.
Thank you, Ms. Dodd. We'll now move to Finance and Operations Committee. Treasurer Pastana.
Finance and Operations met on Wednesday, October 13th at the administration building. Present were myself, Mr. Long, Mr. Wiseman, Dr. Salah, Mr. Van Gotham, Mr. Reby, Ms. Kerrigan, Ms. Maruskin, and the Clark Construction, as well as TMP, as well as Paul Twig. There was no public comment. On the regular agenda, consent agenda items, we talked about the summer property tax collection township fee agreements. Jeffrey spoke of the previous tax collection agreements with the 4 townships, which expires with the current 2021 tax levy. The new proposed agreement covers the 22 through 26 tax levies. The payment to the township is based on a per parcel fee. This amounts, which differ by townships, are $5.40 to $5.50 for fiscal year 22-23 through fiscal year 26-27. We are asking the board to approve the agreements for the townships of Commerce, Highland, Milford, and White Lake to collect the district's summer property taxes. We also talked about the resolution authorizing termination of the driveway easement in Highland Township. Jeffrey spoke of the district being asked to utilize its own property to create a new access to the parking lot at Highland Elementary and to no longer use the easement that had been granted to the school district. Township is currently renovating its own building and wants to utilize the current space for its exclusive usage going forward. We are asking the board to approve the attached resolution with the township terminating the easement. We also talked about the calculator purchase, and we are supportive with the finance and operations. There was no unfinished business, no new business. We talked about the construction project timelines. Don Rogers shared updated photos, details of loose ends to be completed at each school, gave a contingency update, shared construction challenges leading up to bid pack 5, which is now out for bid. Becky updated us on the BSSF tracking spreadsheet. Paul Twig gave us a technology update on the burglar systems, which are back ordered, clocks in elementary schools, and video surveillance. We began discussion on the focus of the 2023 construction projects as TMP needs direction beginning in November. We will formulate committees consisting of students, staff, board members, administration alongside TMP. We also had a discussion about the timing of the construction at the Johnson Early Childhood Center. Jeffrey updated us on the staffing update. We talked obviously about the non-homestead millage update, and we talked about the collective bargaining contract being ratified. Our meeting was adjourned at 12:25. Next meeting is October 27th at 2:30.
Thank you, Treasurer Pastana. I will now go to Communications, Marketing, and Legislative. Mr. Long.
Communications, Marketing, and Legislative Committee meeting was held on Friday, September 10th. We were called to order at 8:30 a.m. Present were myself, Lindsay Cotter, Laura Dodd, Paul Salah, Laura Colvin, and Kim Root. There was no public comment. Dr. Salah provided an update on the equalization payments to school districts, outlining work being done at the federal level to assure these funds are distributed per the intent of the Michigan legislature. Ms. Root provided details on the types of materials and communications the team would put into production for the non-homestead millage on November 2nd. I inquired about getting business endorsements. Ms. Root affirmed that school employees, with the exception of the superintendent, may not use district resources to seek yes votes. Informational campaigns are permissible with district resources. Ms. Root gave us a COVID update, providing details regarding the district's COVID protocols and the desire to keep kids in school learning the face-to-face environment. She noted significant numbers of quarantines last year were the toughest part of navigating COVID. She highlighted the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services criteria for quarantine, noting that masked individuals 3 feet or further apart would not have to quarantine if determined to be in close contact with COVID positive person. She also indicated that the district intends to maintain its COVID dashboard on the website. Board members may refer to the dashboard to monitor current cases. The website rebuild, we were given an update. September and October will be used to train department and building staff on the new HVS website and app. The launch is hopefully going to be October 31st if everything works out. Ms. Root highlighted the schools of choice enrollment in Huron Valley Virtual Academy as a demonstration of the district's successful marketing efforts. 74 students, or 20% of the total enrollment in the HVVA, are school of choice students. Shannon Loso provided an update on rec and ed programming and pools and fitness over the past year. She noted that while many programs shut down, the Huron Valley Rec and Ed program was able to adapt to the demands of COVID. By being responsive to mandates and protocols and adjusting our events, classes, and leagues, we were able to show a profit in community schools of just over $10,000. This is significant for 2 reasons. In previous years, the program has operated in a deficit driven by pools and fitness, and we were able to show a profit during the pandemic. Our meeting was adjourned at 9:30. Our next meeting is November 5th at 8:30 a.m.
Thank you, Mr. Long. We'll now move to Arts, Athletics, and Activities Ad Hoc Committee. Vice President Forrest.
Yes, sir. We met September 29th at 4:30 p.m. at Milford High School. Meeting was called to order at 4:34 p.m. Present was myself, Mr. Carlson, Ms. Dodd, board members, and then from the TLT department, Mr. Tavernier, Ms. Bjorkman, Mr. Lindberg, and Ms. Nemeth, along with Dr. Salah. We also had in attendance our cohort leaders, Megan Weeks, Rick Wank, Don Hogaboom, Doug Markey, Debbie Warner, and our athletic director, Todd Miller, and Principal Eric Joback. We had one agenda item, and that was the survey review. I think you've heard about our survey now, our student survey and our parent, guardian, and community surveys that went out regarding participation in arts, art, athletics, and extracurricular activities. And our student surveys are in, and I'm looking forward to hearing about them at our next meeting. Also, for our parents, guardians, community out there, please take the survey. These surveys will help us to create kind of a baseline or a benchmark and inform us as to some of the directions we need to go to enhance our AAA in this district. So our next meeting will be on October 25th, as was mentioned, at 4:30 p.m. Milford High School. Thank you.
Thank you. I am, without objection, going to go back to public comment agenda items. Mr. George Magow, am I saying that right? Mago, I'm sorry. You're welcome to the podium. You do have an agenda item, so I want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and speak on that. Just hit the button there. Should see the green light.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, there you go.
I'm on your side. I'm a big supporter of education. My wife is a president of a college out of state, and my daughter teaches on the west end of the state at music and elementary ed. I also I'm the chair of the Planning Commission in Milford Township. I'm also serve on the Tax Board of Review for Milford Township in Milford. One of the heartbreaking things that happens to us is that 20-30% of the people that come in with problems with their taxes, they're new homeowners, and they're usually not prepared for the sticker shock when their taxes become uncapped. And I'm wondering if you could help me understand so that I can explain to them, will it affect the amount of tax that they will see? Or is it just gonna basically stay the same? Everything else will go up because it's uncapped, but the 18 mils is not part of that, is what I was understanding, and I just wanted to verify that.
This typically is not a feedback session. It's a public comment, but
know.
this is, I think it's relevant to what's in front of us. You're asking a question. I think, Mr. Van Gotham, can you briefly answer that question and then be able to spend a little bit of time with George after the meeting?
Absolutely. So in answer to your question, the primary residence, which is what I think you're asking about,
Yes.
they will not pay any more money than they currently do as a result of the questions we're asking on November 2nd.
That's all I needed. Thank you so much. I'm sorry about disrupting.
Thank you very much for being here. With that, we will move to the consent agenda. I am going to look for a motion to approve the consent agenda items actually A2 through A6. A1 has been removed and put in unfinished business, and item A6 has been put into new business. So I'm asking for approval for A2 through A6.
So moved.
Ms. Pastana has moved.
Support from Ms. Cotter.
Ms. Cotter has supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Approved. We will now move to unfinished business, approval of the minutes. Now, the reason that I've asked, typically approval of the minutes is a fairly routine item, and it probably fits the description better than anything else on the agenda to be under the consent agenda. However, I asked to have that move tonight, not for the regular board meeting minutes that took place on September 13th, but rather we called a special board meeting on Friday, September 17th at 9 a.m. And at that meeting, it was important for us to address the many labor contracts that were in front of us. We also, after dealing with these in open session, we moved to closed session. So I think it's only appropriate for us and for me to share those items. The minutes are there, but I do want to just point out that at that meeting on the 17th of September, we approved the HVCCA, which is the Child Care Association contract. It was moved and supported and unanimously supported by the board. We also approved unanimously the transportation driver attendance labor agreement, the HVSSP. We also moved, and it was approved unanimously, the contract with the Huron Valley Food Service and Mechanics collective bargaining agreement. We also addressed the labor contract dealing with the Huron Valley foremen, managers, and technicians. The other contract was the HVSMC, which is our supervisor coordinators labor agreement was addressed. And the last item that was addressed was our HVCS, which is our confidential secretaries, not including our superintendent secretary. I thought it was important. I told the board that despite this being an open meeting, it was a special meeting that was called, and I think it was important for us to bring these in front of the public tonight, and that's why I asked to have them removed from the consent agenda. If there's any other comments or questions at this point in time from the board, I will entertain those. Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Ms. Cotter.
Thank you.
To approve the minutes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Mrs. Dodd.
Yes.
Mrs. Forrest.
Yes.
Mrs. Pastana.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter is a yes. Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We'll now move to new business, and that is the approval of the HVA tentative agreement, Exhibit A7. I want to actually turn to Dr. Salah for a moment, and you can just speak to this.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. As we heard from Ms. Hollander earlier this evening, the district bargained in good faith with the association for the better part of 7 months. And I'm looking at, 3 members of our bargaining team that are at the table today. And I want to thank the administrative group for their faithful efforts to really meet and problem solve and come up with solutions that would help us attract and retain our HVEA members to the local school district. So you received an update last week, Thursday, that provided a synopsis of the overview of the collective bargaining agreement, and we're asking, and I should mention that the HVEA ratified their support and ratified that tentative agreement. And we're asking this evening for the board to support that tentative agreement as well.
Thank you, Dr. Slaw. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, we will go ahead and take a roll call vote.
Thank you. Mrs. Dodd?
Yes.
Mrs. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Cutter is a yes. Mrs. Pastana?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also, under new business, I wanted to let the board members know that I would like to, upon recommendation from the superintendent, for our December regular meeting, to move that from December 6th to December 13th. Go ahead.
We're asking for that move because as you heard earlier, as a part of the board subcommittee updates, there are several construction projects that are ongoing. We have bid pack 5 out there right now on the street. And in order to give our architecture firm and our construction management firm sufficient time to have the bids out there for 30 days and give them the opportunity to do their due diligence, they've requested that extra week before making the recommendations to the board.
Yes, thank you. I just want to say, Ms. Cotter, that motion was made by Ms. Dodd, and then the second vote that you took, whoever that was the second.
Yes, that was Mr. Wiseman.
On the motion to approve the TA agreement.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Long. Any questions in regards to Dr. Salah moving that December 6th to December 13th? All right, seeing none, we'll make the appropriate adjustments in the agenda and publish that. I'm looking at our Secretary of the Board, both Ms. Cotter and Ms. Hill, to make sure that we update the calendar. Thank you. All right, with that, we'll now move to public comment. I have 4 different public comments here. I think Ms. Stempian is the first to comment, and I believe she's a member on our task force. Is that correct? Thank you. Thank you very much for your participation in that.
Okay. My comments were basically first about homecoming. I was here at the high school in a different capacity. I was here for the Mustangs, and oh my gosh, I saw all the kids coming and they were so excited. I do have a high schooler who went as well, but I mean, I'm talking about every student. It was just amazing. Thank you. Thank you. And then that leads me into at Muir. I got to spend the last 2 weeks there helping with the Cult Spirit Spree. We raised like $10,000, almost just short of it. But what was so cool about that was being back there, like being back with the students and the teachers, and it was amazing. And the kids, my 8th grader got to do this event, and he had never in all of middle school been with his whole school. It was amazing. Like he had started in 6th grade, and you know what we've been doing. So it was just amazing. Thank you. And then, but that leads me to my next comment. I was talking to all the teachers, of course, and they, from what I understand, 100% support having Mr. Digsby. And I know there's a process, but a month. I was hoping that it could take a little less time to coordinate a new principal for kids that really need that structure. And then from how I understand it is then, if he were to become principal, then you'd have to take another process of having to hire the assistant principal, and that's just a long time for these kids who haven't had a lot of security. And so I was hoping that could. I don't know the process, and I understand you guys completely have to do what you have to do, but if you could really make that just like priority, because the staff, again, from what I understand, they 100% support it. Parents, so you're talking all the stakeholders really are looking for that movement. So, and I know you can't just do that, but I just wanted to kind of give him I thought he was here. I was like, oh no, I wanted to kind of give him a little vote of confidence from a parent as well. So, and I just got to meet him this year. So that's it.
Thank you very much. All right, our next comment is Brenda Huska. Am I saying that right? Almost, sorry. I think I would be a horrible teacher.
Now, can you, oh.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Hello, board. Sadly, I have kind of like a little COVID thing to talk about. I kept my son homesick from school about 4 weeks ago. He didn't sleep very well, like a 4-hour sleep. He was up, I think he slept from like 2 to 4, 2 to 6 in the morning. So I called school and I said, I'm gonna keep him home. And the person who answered the phone was understanding, but then was starting to tell me these stories about how I should really think about getting him COVID tested. And I thought to myself, that's really funny because he's just, not sleeping very well. Like sometimes this just happens. And she told me these stories that really worried me for the day. I started thinking to myself, oh my God, maybe I should get him tested for COVID. Maybe there's something else going on. Maybe it's not seasonal allergies or a flu or a cold or just being tired or anything else that's out there. And I started talking to some friends and comparing stories. And it turns out I'm not the only one. There's a lot of confusion out there when you're calling your school. First of all, you've got parents who are afraid to call the school. They're afraid that they're going to be targeted in some way. They're going to be, maybe like written down on a list or something because, maybe their child has COVID and they're not going to get tested or something like that. And I am not a person who would send my kid to school knowingly sick. I just wouldn't do that. I have a firm rule of if there's a fever, they're staying home. But I also have a rule if they're not optimal, they're going to stay home too. And I really started thinking to myself, this is really sad that when I call my school, a school that I really support and I'm following all the rules, but then this person who's not a healthcare person or a nurse or anything like that is, just really encouraged me to get the COVID test. And it just it made me think about all the parents out there who are just afraid. And I really kind of think that maybe we should think about all of our schools in Huron Valley being on the same page. Because it seems like whether I call Oak Valley or Country Oaks or Muir or whatever, sometimes people are getting different stories. And maybe it depends on who they talk to. But I don't find that very acceptable. And I understand that there is a virus out there. I'm not denying that. But I just don't think it's very fair for these parents. I mean, all these parents here, we care about our kids, we care about everybody's kids, but we also want good factual information and not just stories from somebody who haven't happened to answer the phone. And that's my only comment tonight to you guys. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Is this Danielle Atkins? Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, Lord. Let me first of all start out by saying that I would love to come and work for Huron Valley Schools. I will not tolerate a mask. So that's also something for you guys to consider. There's a lot of people that will not work in a mask all day long with all the shortages going on as well. Secondly, all you guys have pulled your mask down tonight to talk to us. My child does not even get that courtesy in class. So his education is suffering for the mere fact that he cannot see or hear what his teacher's doing. They cannot do. I see you rolling your eyes. That's lovely. Anyways, my name's Danielle Atkins. I have 2 children. 2 out of 3 of my children attend Heritage Elementary. Last year, we chose to homeschool, not because of the mask at that point, just my 9-year-old would not last 5 minutes in front of a computer. So we chose to return this year because my middle son started kindergarten and he really wanted to go. And I'm just having a very hard time with that. I feel like I'm failing my child every single day by forcing him to wear something that my family doesn't believe in. You are telling me that I'm wrong in my beliefs by forcing me to put a mask on. How am I supposed to get behind it or trust anybody that has no respect for me, for my family, for my beliefs, for my children that are in here doing all of this? The choice of it, choice means that everybody matters and everybody can do what they feel is best. Choice is saying that I see you and I respect you, even if you don't agree with me. Due to the lack of returned emails, there's a few questions I would like to ask tonight. So many other counties and districts have dropped these mandates. And I want to know if you guys are still okay supporting it with the bill that passed. I know Oakland County still has it in place. I have yet to see what the laws are of why we're following that, except I was told your lawyer has done that. Have you followed up with that lawyer? Has that lawyer told you guys that we are still supposed to be doing it, even though it's not legal at this time? I would also like to know why we have to sit here for the entire meeting. Why were we always last? Why do we get such a short amount to speech when we listen to everybody and everything up here? I'm okay not speaking for the whole time if needed every time, but some people need a little bit more to just be done. I don't think is fair. This decision to do this has completely divided our community. It's all people like to talk about anymore. Choice would allow for conversations and acceptance by parents and children. I don't want to stop asking about this. I don't want to give up. I would love some more answers. I would love some factual answers or not just a blown off email because I don't feel like I'm getting much respect when I am asking. I love the school district. I'm very proud of this school district. If Jenna Stevens wasn't our principal, I probably would have pulled them again because she's the only person that I know or trust there, seeming that I'm not allowed to go into my child's own school. I'd also like to ask, why not change how this is done, how all of this is done? Why not have a public comment night that you guys can respond to us up here? So I know that you're listening to me. So you can create better responses that people can watch at home, and people that are scared to come talk like me for a long time can get answers as well and hear your feedback or your reasoning why and make it more personable so it's not just anger, because it's anger all the time. I don't trust anybody anymore, and it's really scary. Even if we don't agree, then we can try and understand why you feel that way. You can respond to us. Because right now it really just feels like you don't care, like the school doesn't care that I'm a scarlet letter parent because I don't believe in the mask, and it shouldn't be that way. Thank you. God bless America.
Thank you, Danielle. Chloe Waller?
Well, now she got all shy. She was really excited to talk. But she was wanting to just let you know she's a kindergartner at Country Oaks, and she absolutely loves school. She loves going there. She has so much fun. And so she was going to tell you the story about how she had so much fun in class today and rotating from different activity to activities. But her big thing was she wanted her and her friends to be able to choose whether they wear masks or not, to be able to have that choice to make themselves, because that's something she would really prefer, to be able to make that choice when she wants to wear it and when she doesn't. So that was her thing. So, want to say anything? Thank you.
Thank you. Good and welfare. Any good and welfare? Ms. Dodd.
I just want to recommend to all parents, if you're not going to PTA meetings or in any of those things, I know it's hard to not be involved in the classroom and to want to get into the classroom. I've been at a couple PTA meetings, and at least it feels like a connection to other people and a connection to other things. It's fun run season. So if the weather cooperates, hopefully this Friday we'll have that fun run at Kurt's. I know Country Oaks is tomorrow, and the PTAs are really going above and beyond. So thanks to everybody who's involved in a PTA. And if you're not able to be involved, try, because it's really a wonderful way to, this year when we're not able to get in there like we want to, at least it's a way to show that we're working with our school and trying to give some support.
Thank you, Ms. Dodd. Ms. Cotter?
Yes, I don't really have a good and welfare. I'm checking back on my notes. I was in the process of making another section from the change in the agenda. I was adding another section to take my notes. I missed on the approval of the minutes of A1. I took a vote, but I do miss who made the motion and the support. I'm sorry.
Mr. Wiseman made the motion and Ms. Pastana seconded on the approval of the minutes.
Okay, I did have Wiseman. And Pastana then?
Yes.
That helps.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Any other items for good and welfare? Mr. Weissman.
Yeah, just real quick, it was a great celebration with our students here from athletics. I know that we're working through maybe at the next board meeting, since we are a AAA school district, to have some of our performers in instrumental music or vocal music come and display their achievements.
They couldn't be here tonight,
Right,
but yes.
exactly. And then the other is tonight, or on Friday, is a community celebration. I know Milford and Lakeland are there at their football teams are playing, but more importantly, it's a community celebration, and I know that the community is invited to fireworks afterwards. So just want to make sure everybody knows about that.
And I, just to finish and round out good and welfare, I just wanted a reminder. I mentioned it earlier in board president comments, but there will be community connection forums at White Lake Middle School as well as Oak Valley Middle School. Those are the forums for parents and stakeholders in the district to come and sit down on a one-on-one basis. Those who may not be comfortable of going to the podium at public comment to be able to have that opportunity to interact with the board. So we'll get out the exact dates. That will be probably the second or third week of November. All right, thank you. Wait. Dr. Salah.
Thank you. I just really wanted to touch on real quick before we leave. Mr. Long made reference in the meeting minutes regarding Lone Tree and South Milford Road. I just want the community to know, I personally had a conversation with the road commission. They are going to do a study, and I have offered to consider partnering on a light, an arrow light to move that traffic along. But I think it's important to also note that the road commission has already committed to changing that light pattern. So there's more opportunity from 6:30 to 7:30 in the morning for students to be able to turn left onto Lone Tree. So you may not have recognized that because there isn't a different light there, but they've actually changed the timing on that light. That has already occurred, and we continue to work with them to help resolve the traffic flow.
Thank you, Dr. Salah. Without any objection, the regular meeting of October 18th is adjourned.